Welcome to the Finality Retrospective Edition. It's been 10 years since I've released what I consider the greatest Sonic project I've ever made. And I'm here to show you for the first time in completely unedited glory the entire run from beginning to end. No music, no jump cuts or anything surprising. This is just going to be a commentary on the history of this project, its origins, and my thoughts on each section and how this project came to be. So let's get started. We're already on the first night section, the second act of this monolithic epic level. So we'll go ahead and get to how this project first started. For those of you who haven't played the game Sonic Unleashed, there are achievements for each level where you have to complete time trials. Well, time trials, number of rings collected, and enemies defeated. There are these little challenges that you go through, and it's basically completing the level with those parameters. But the only caveat, the biggest condition, is that you have to do those levels without dying. And for most of the levels, like Rooftop Run, Jungle Joyride, it's pretty easy to do that without dying. But there was an achievement for doing this on Eggman Land too. And Eggman Land is this. All of this. So I remember having to go through this. I was absolutely terrified. I was, I guess you could say I was upset. I did not want to go through all this, because this level has killed me hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. So I thought to myself, having to go through all this without dying would just be impossible. Luckily, thank God, the only challenges for this level specifically were time. So, really all you had to do was make it through the whole level without dying. You didn't have to worry about rings or enemies or anything like that. So, there are 3 levels of this. 20 minutes, 15, and 10. Well, not 15. I think it's 25, 20, and 15 minutes. Well, you have a lot of time. Really, the main purpose is to just get through all of it alive. So, the first time I went through this, I died hundreds of times. I just completely lost all morale. It was absolutely terrible. It was the hardest level in the game, the last level. So you have to go through all of this, almost flawlessly. You have to just go through it without dying. And the first time, like I said, it took forever. Days and days and days upon work. But I eventually completed the first tier of this challenge. Then when I finished, I went to the second one. I died a whole bunch still, but it was a little bit less often. And I was able to get the second tier done. But something amazing happened. On the third tier, I went through without dying one single time. No restarts, nothing. And it was the most surprising event I've ever experienced in a Sonic game. And once I did that, I said to myself, oh my god, now I just gotta go back and do this for real. Like, it was so perfect, I have to replicate this. So, that's why we're here, Finality. And when I was planning this, I said to myself, okay, these 2 pieces, Eggman Land, Day and Night, they're both fantastic, but I think it would wear pretty easily if I have just a normal playthrough with all the normal music going back and forth over and over. So I quickly decided, hey, what if I recorded this without music and put in music from final stages all across Sonic's history to make it more interesting and to give it a newer vibe to go through all the action that's happening on the screen. So that's when I started going through all the games I played and found all the special stages that I loved. This one, right off the bat, Crank the Heat Up from Final Egg. The very second I decided to make this change and put Finality onto paper, this was the very, very first song choice I had. Because I immediately wanted it to pop out at the viewer for them to say, hey, this isn't the regular Eggman and music. This is something new. Well, not new, but it's something different. And hopefully, you'll agree with me, it's something awesome. Because I consider Crank the Heat Up to be one of the best, you know, if not the best final stage music out there. So that was the immediate plan with the third section and the first new song, which would be, rock. Something unexpected. A hard rocking, in your face, tasty jam that would wake you up and get you in the mood to enjoy this video I've made. Which is why, the action edition was Crank the Heat Up. Oh, and by the way, not to get distracted, but by the way, I ended up picking so many great final stage pieces, which is why I ended up making 3 separate versions of this video, because there were just so many. It's like, oh my god, oh, this is great, I love putting this in, we'll do this, and something metal for the interior. And then I thought, oh my god, I love this song too. I really want to put this in. What do I do? So before I know it, 4 song choices became 7. Then it became 10, 12. And that's how I ended up with Action, Treasure, and Fury. Because I just could not stop myself. If I played more Sonic games, like on the handheld, I would probably have even more versions to go with the ones I have now. But anyway, back to the third section. I wanted to do something rock, so I used Crank the Heat Up for action, and for treasure I used Dragon's Lair from Sonic and the Black Knight. Just a huge hard da-da-da, just really something that'll pound you into awareness. And of course, One Last Chance from Final Rush. I had to put that in, and that really was the theme. That's when I realized, hey, there's a theme going with all these, so I said, okay, this next section is all mechanical. It's inside a factory, and there's a lot of factory levels and machine stuff that having to do with Eggman, so I figured, let's do something from the classic games. Let's do 2D. So I ended up doing Metallic Madness for the action version. Scrap Brain Zone for Fury, and for treasure I used Mad Gear Zone, which might be my favorite because I got to start it a little bit early, synchronizing the beginning of the song with the opening of each door. The action that leads into the next section. And I was going to do just Metallic Madness the whole way through, including this I guess, wave style section here, going through like a horde mode / firefight type battle. But then I thought about it. I said, you know what, this section is going to be really long, so let me just use the advantage of this Unleash section where I just go wild, and I've put on a different song, which gives me an opportunity to add even more final stage music. So I said, okay, Metallic Madness, let's do Bad Future to show how angry he is, how he really just pounds into everything, and it gets even more hype. Which is also why I used A Duel with Metal Sonic for the Fury edition, because it's loud, it's high intensity, and like all final stages, it has that sense of urgency and, of course, finality, which is all where it comes back to. And Showdown is definitely one of my favorites because it's so hardcore, it's so powerful and angry, and it's just perfect. And then with this section here, fast-paced Sonic, this is it. This is the last piece, the last section of difficulty here. So I had to do something, head down, urgent, more anger. Maybe not anger, but determination. So when I got to this section, I immediately thought terminal velocity. This is the perfect place to use it. So I said, okay, let's do terminal velocity for this section. And even though I had to fudge it a little bit on the synchronization and splice together the normal version with the second part, the Act 2, where Sonic gets sucked into the black hole, I feel like, I feel like it works kind of well. I had to loop it for a little bit for the skydiving section, but I think it worked very well for this. And I also chose Aquatic Base for the Treasure version, the Treasure Edition, and that was a happy accident. I had no idea that Act 2, or Level 2 for Aquatic Base, fits so 100% perfectly with the time and speed for this section. I did not have to edit anything at all, and that was just like, another happy accident. It fits so perfectly. I was just amazed by it. Which of course, leads to this last section here. Cosmic Fall. I chose that, of course, because of the skydiving section here. But even though that's not from an actual Sonic game, it's from Shadow the Hedgehog, I figured that Cosmic Fall is very popular, very loud, very angry to go with all this determination. And I went ahead and put that in here too. So, yeah, here we come to the last section. And of course, it's all about the urgency. You want to do something big, something memorable. So, yeah, I went with Final Fortress, Unawakening Palace, Night Palace, Unawakening Flight, and Shrouded Forest, because I felt that would work really well. Oh, this part right here. Let me explain why I was so hesitant and why I was kind of pausing and going back and forth over and over. This recording, I might have died, I'd say 70 or 80 times, and deleted it, started recording again. But on this one, this recording, I got through all this on my second try. There was only one death before this where I had to restart. So I got this on my second try of the day, and going through that skydiving section, you notice how I paced myself and just, on and off, just tap, tap, tap the dive button. That was the first time in my entire life, all the way through, that I made it through that skydiving section without getting hurt. That was the very, very first time. Every single time, even the times I made it through without dying, I always got hit when doing the the skydiving section, because the controls are so are so inverted and turned around. So that first time, I was just over the moon. My heart was pounding so hard that after I opened that door and got to that ledge, I was literally losing consciousness. Which actually kind of explains a lot considering my condition now. But my heart was beating so hard and so fast that I was literally on the verge of passing out in my chair. And I didn't want to pause the game because that would ruin the recording. And I didn't want to just sit there while my brain was frying and my heart was melting. So that's why I was so nervous about jumping to that platform and just strafing back and forth, because I was literally fighting to stay fighting to stay conscious. So that is why I was so hesitant and so, fidgety back there. Because I finally did it. I actually made it through without getting hit once. And once I got to this Werehog section, you're pretty much set. You may have to worry about falling to your death, but as long as you keep calm and, don't rush through it, you'll be fine. So once I got through that, I was pretty much like, hey, this level's done. I got through it, and I was just so excited. Like I said, my heart was beating so fast I was literally losing consciousness. But after a few seconds, I came to and got my bearings back together and just slid through all these levels. As you can see, I'm getting hit a bit by these fans, but it's only small nicks and tears. Get my health back, beating up these all these Eggman robots and picking up rings and such. It's still a bit of a rush, even after 10 long years. Watching this still always excites me. Not to the point of passing out, thankfully, but it's still, it's still an amazing experience. It's like witnessing it the first time. Going back to the music for this, though, I chose Final Fortress. Like I said, it's perfect for this situation. And the funny thing is, with Unawakening Float, I guess you could call that karma for getting such an absolutely perfect synchronization with Aquatic Bass, because this song was nearly impossible to to synchronize in a convincing manner. Like, I tried speeding it up, I tried looping certain parts, and it just ended up bogus. It was absolutely terrible. Eventually, I just looped the first and second verse, and then did one half of the chorus, and even with that, I still had to slow the last part of it down just a little bit in order to match up with me killing the last two titans in the last room. But other than that, it was, pretty easy to get all these together. And I made, ahead of time, I knew I had to make 6 versions instead of 3, because if anybody has seen any of my videos before this point, you guys would know that I like my stuff loud. That's how I express my excitement and my happiness and, my hype, I guess you could call it. So I knew I was going to make these louder and louder and louder, because that's what I want. I want to explode these speakers, because this was just one of the most fulfilling challenges I've ever completed in my life. And that's why I made the 3 versions with my loudness boosted all the way up. And I made sound check versions where I didn't increase the volume of anything at all, so that normal people could enjoy this without going deaf before they hit 30. So I finally get to the final room, and as you can see, I'm just slipping up like crazy, getting hit everywhere. But I guess you could say that was my my recklessness. I was just going. I was getting complacent. With the previous Titan in that blue-green room, I got pretty close to dying because I was just, going through this headlong without any plan. So I had to stop and grab some rings. But once I finished that, I got the full health, full unleash, and I took these guys down as sloppily as I could. But I got it done. I finished the skydiving session without getting hit, so that was it. And with that being said, we're finally at the end here. 18 minutes, 759,000 points, and a perfect S rank on Eggman Land. No deaths, no damage, no despawns. It was absolute. It was an absolute gauntlet. One that, like I said, I'll probably never do this again. But you never know. This came from something this whole idea came from something that I planned on never doing. So, who knows? I could revisit this now that Unleashed is in 60 frames, and I don't know, make an even better version. You never know. It could be a possibility. And like the song says, the possibilities are never ending. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking out this retrospective. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And I will catch you guys on the next time I make some more Sonic videos. But until then, see you on the other side of the signpost and stay way past cool.